TV.
Focused on quality and convenience, there isn't much you won't find at Marie's Mini Mart. Home-style breads, sandwiches, plus a variety of artisan breads and delicious single-serve desserts available exclusively at our Frecker Drive location. Marie's Mini Mart with 25 locations wherever you...
Hi, I'm Lloydetta Quaicoe, welcoming you to Sharing Our Cultures. In this series, I'll be speaking with individuals from diverse cultural backgrounds who've chosen to call this place home. Joining me in conversation is Rufaro Gundu, and she's a counselor who's originally from Zimbabwe. Hello and welcome to Sharing Our Cultures. Joining me in conversation today is Rufaro Gundu. Welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you.
Good. I'm so delighted that you can take time from your busy schedule to be with us today. So really appreciate that.
Absolutely, it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. I know you bring a wealth of knowledge from the different places that you've lived and experiences. Can you share some of that with us?
Yes, yeah. So I was born in Zimbabwe, which is a country in southern Africa. And then I moved to Serbia when I was about 6 or 7 years old, which is in Europe. So quite a big difference to everything that I was used to growing up. And I've also lived in Sudan, Malaysia, and now I'm here in St. John's.
Okay, now can I ask you what took you to these many places?
Yeah, so my dad was an ambassador for Zimbabwe. So it's essentially a diplomat. So he represented Zimbabwe in the different countries that we lived in.
So wherever he went, you went?
I followed, yep.
All right, so what was your experience like coming to Newfoundland, Labrador for the first time?
It was very different. To be honest, I didn't research what Newfoundland and Labrador looked like before I came here. I applied to MUN and I got accepted, so I told my mom I'm going no matter what. I hopped on a plane. I landed in Deer Lake, which was so small, and I remember getting off the plane on the tarmac, which is something that I wasn't used to because I'd always gone through like the tunnels. So I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this place is so small. Where am I? This is not the Canada that I had envisioned. So it was a big shock for me.
So, okay, so you arrived in Deer Lake. Were your courses in Deer Lake or?
The airport on the west coast of Newfoundland is in Deer Lake, but my program was in Corner Brook, so at the Grenfell campus of Memorial. Yeah.
All right, that makes sense. So you were going to Grenfell campus, because sometimes when we think of Memorial, we have a tendency to think of St. John's.
St. John's, yes. Yeah, I went to Grenfell campus.
Okay. And did you spend all of your time at Grenfell campus?
The entire 4 years, yes.
And then moved to St. John's?
Yeah, I moved to St. John's in 2016 after I graduated.
Okay. What did you study?
I studied a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology with a minor in French.
Okay. And why did you decide in psychology? Like, what motivated you to choose that?
Truthfully, it just came to me. I remember my teacher in grade 5 asking the entire class, oh, what do you guys want to be? And we had to write it down on this piece of paper and then share it with the entire class. And I just wrote down psychologist. I don't know where that came from. It just popped into my head. I don't even think I knew what it meant or like what a psychologist really did. And I just decided on it. Now, like in hindsight, I know I meant counselor. But yeah, that's how I decided.
And you stuck with it?
I stuck with it for 20 odd years.
Yeah, that's really interesting then. So how did your academic training prepare you to be a counselor?
Yeah, my bachelor's, I'd say, was really fundamental in preparing me for this field. In the Bachelor's of Psychology, we learn about like cognitive psychology, how the brain works, but we also learn about social behaviors and how that can impact how we interact with other people. And I'd say that's been my foundation, like the base of the house, we'd say, in my career. And then with the master's, I think of that as more so refining all the skills, learning a little bit more about how you can use empathy and compassion and things like that to facilitate change.
All right, so you're well prepared, ready to go.
Yeah.
So what sorts of experiences have you had since you graduated in your career?
So I've actually worked in group homes as well. From that, you can see a lot of trauma and how that impacts children and youth. I've also worked at the Women's Center here in St. John's. I've been helping out with some counseling there that they have. It's available on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and it's a drop-in format, which is really great for anyone who doesn't necessarily want to commit to the full like therapeutic experience, or if they're just having a really bad day, they can call in that day and we can help them out.
Well, that's good to know, because sometimes people are thinking, oh, I have to have a specialist, I have to make an appointment for months and months to be able to see someone.
Right.
But,
yeah, no, at the Women's Center, you know, we can help people who identify as women or non-binary people. You don't need a referral. You can just drop on in, and the counselors there are all fantastic.
Okay, well, that's great. And well, so I'm thinking about all these experiences that you've had that you're bringing to your career, and you've said that it's more than a career.
Yes.
You gonna explain that?
Absolutely. I think being a counselor is really my calling. It's what I was meant to do here. I've seen firsthand how just having that person display so much compassion, give you a safe space, can make such a huge difference. And something that a lot of people don't necessarily get. A lot of people don't have someone that they can be completely vulnerable with. And I think that's a necessity for humans. We need to be able to be vulnerable with each other and say, yeah, I'm not okay, or I'm struggling with this, and have someone meet you with kindness and try and help you.
All right. Can you give me sort of an example of a typical day or a typical session? So someone is curious about it and it's like, okay, so I'm having a bad day today, and so I'm gonna drop in. What's that experience gonna be like for me?
Sure. So obviously we start off by thanking the person for coming, because it's not an easy decision to come to a stranger and to essentially dish out your entire life and be so open and raw. So I think that needs to be acknowledged. So I always thank the client for showing up. I explain to them my process, and then we start talking. We'll say, okay, what's going on today? What brings you here today? And then we'll go from there. I like using a strength-based perspective for counseling. So really emphasizing, you know, what's working for the client right now, and seeing how we can implement that and use that to help their day a little bit better.
I like the idea of the strength-based approach, because sometimes when people are down and, you know, maybe depressed or stressed out, like all the negative things come to their mind.
Yeah.
So how do you bring about change then, so that person leaves your presence feeling, I can take on the world now?
You know, as I've said, even them taking the opportunity to come in, that's an immense display of strength. So I always draw on that if the client is having difficulty in vocalizing their own strengths. So I'll usually say like, oh, you came in here today, that was such a brave decision, and that's a testament to how strong you are. In what other ways are you strong? In what other ways are you showing up for yourself? And really drawing on that.
Okay. So can people then build up their own coping mechanisms so they don't have to make that visit? And how do they do that?
Absolutely, yes. The goal for therapy is always to give the client the tools. So a lot of people think that therapists give you advice or like tell you what to do. That's not really what we do. We're giving you the tools so that you can make those decisions, because you know what's best for your own life. I've just met you, so how could I know what's best for you? Whereas you've lived your life for however long, so you know your own strengths. Sometimes it's hard to see that when you're focused on the negativity, but from my perspective, I can pick up on what you're saying and bring those strengths up to light. So then hopefully on your own time, you'll be able to do that as well.
Okay, you mentioned tools. What are the tools then? For myself, if I were with me, then it's okay, we're going to give you the tools you need so that when you leave here, you can cope with life better.
So some of the tools will be like teaching you emotional regulation. So if you're feeling upset, what's the best way that you can handle that for yourself so that you can move on? Do you need to take a couple of deep breaths and then re-immerse yourself in that situation? Do you need to get up, walk away, do something else, and then come back to that situation? Or do you need to just focus on something else or work right through it? What's going to be best for you? So when we talk about giving people tools, it's asking them essentially to try out different methods and seeing what works for them, and then they can implement that. So we can give suggestions on other things that have been useful for people. So as I've said, like the deep breaths, that's a big tool, even if people don't necessarily know it.
Okay, well, this is great. This is the first part of this learning session for me. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to find out some more about you and about your work.
Perfect.
Right. And Sharing Our Cultures, we'll be right back.
Your opinion matters, and we want to hear from you. Get in touch with us using our viewer feedback line, your direct connection to shaping the shows you love. It's easy. Just grab your phone, scan the QR code on your screen, and take our quick survey. Share your thoughts, and let's make your viewing experience even better.
Welcome back to Sharing Our Cultures, and we'll continue our conversation with Rufaro and all the information that she has to give about her career and about herself as well. All right, so can I ask you how long you've been here in the province?
Yes, I've been in Newfoundland for, it's going to be 12 years this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you decided to stay for this long?
I've decided to stay.
Yeah.
Newfoundland is actually the longest place that I've ever lived in my entire life. So I definitely consider it to be home at this point. I admire the community around. I like how it's small. I feel like it's easier to make lasting connections this way.
So the smallness of Deer Lake has actually gotten into your soul.
I don't know about the smallness of Deer Lake. The smallness of St. John's has.
Okay, so at what point did you, in those 12 years, did you decide this is where I want to stay? Like what were the circumstances that led to that?
I think it was just when I had finished university and I wasn't really ready to make a big move. I think I was just starting to get settled, starting to get comfortable in Newfoundland, and the idea of living in like Toronto or Montreal or a bigger city didn't really appeal to me at the time. As I said, this is the place that I've lived in the longest, and I felt it was a good place to put down some roots.
Okay, well, thank you for staying.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. And in your career as well, you are affiliated with the Roots in Wellness. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, so I started with Roots in Wellness during my master's degree. We do a work term during that, so they were kind enough to take me on as their student, and I've stayed on with them now as an associate. So I work with them virtually. They're based in Ontario, so all my services that I offer through there are virtual.
So what kind of services do they offer?
It's a private practice for counseling.
Okay, so all the work that you've done and all the services that you provide, that's through the Roots in Wellness company.
Yes, and I'm hoping to offer in-person services in St. John's very soon.
Oh, well, let us know when that's up and running.
Yeah.
Yes, we definitely would like to support you, and especially if you decided to stay here, we'd like to make sure you do.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, we work with a lot of young people, students, and what would be your advice to them? And I know, well, you don't always tell everybody what to do, but if, for example, one of them is thinking about a career in counseling or psychotherapy, or, you know, in that field, how would you guide them through that?
I would definitely say start going to therapy yourself, because when you're more grounded in who you are, you're better able to guide other people. And then you can also see how effective therapy can be for other people. I'd definitely say take care of your own mental health as well. Have something that's not therapy related that you can go back to when you're studying. In terms of academic guidance, obviously like the bachelor in psychology is useful for that. But just really my main advice is take care of yourself, because you can't take care of others unless you do that. You can't pour from an empty cup.
That's a very wise statement there. That's true, because you might think of something as a career, but it's a career where you actually put yourself into it, right? Because like you have a mission statement in your career, and the way you promote your services. Maybe you can explain that for us.
Yes, absolutely. My mission is to help everyone feel more comfortable, to help empower other people. I'm very passionate about trying to help the BIPOC community. I've noticed that there's a huge lack in services for that community, especially here in Newfoundland. I think even when I was looking for my own therapist, there wasn't a lot of people of color that I could reach out to. And I think that's very important to have that kind of representation and that kind of diversity and inclusivity in this work.
Okay. And that is a great need, because as the population becomes culturally diverse, as we have a black community, it's growing. Like every time I turn around, the numbers have gone up.
Yes.
And so this is something that will be very useful and necessary. So I'm glad to connect that with the fact that you're going to have an in-person, your own private practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially for the BIPOC community, it can be hard to reach out to someone and to admit that, okay, maybe I am struggling a little bit. I find in a lot of our culture, you know, strength is something that a lot of people expect from us. But strength also means, you know, reaching out to someone and saying, I need a little bit of help. And maybe if they have someone who looks like them, it's a little bit easier to ask for that help.
Right, someone that could identify with them, maybe with their culture, you know, or what they have sort of gone through, that sort of experience. It was interesting that you said that if a young person is thinking about a career, that they actually go to a therapist.
Yeah, therapy is for everyone.
But some people might say, well, I'm not feeling down and I'm not stressed out and I'm, you know, I'm happy-go-lucky. Why do I need to be with a therapist?
Yes, great point, and I get this a lot. So you don't only have to go to therapy when you're not feeling okay. You can go to therapy, you know, even if there's nothing wrong, and you can use that time to really discover who you are, what you want to do, you know, what you value in life, what you want to become later on in the future. And it's a way that we can kind of strengthen our mind. So if you think of going to the gym as trying to strengthen your body to prevent illness, think of therapy as trying to strengthen your mind and your soul so you can prevent future things. And that's so that you're better able to deal with those stressful times when they come up.
Okay, I'd never thought about that, and I like the comparison there with going to the gym, because someone says, well, I'm strong and, you know, I'm great and everything's fine, but you still go to the gym because you want physically to be well or to be strong, or to be fit, to be physically fit. So you were going to the gym, but we never really think about our minds needing any sort of resource when nothing is wrong with us.
Yeah, the mind is so powerful, and it's really important that we take really good care of it and be as proactive as we can be.
Okay, well, I'm learning a lot. That's some things that I hadn't thought about that you've expressed here. It makes a lot of sense, even though we don't always stop to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking you've come to Newfoundland Labrador, you've stayed, you've studied, you've got a career. Now, some person somewhere else outside of maybe outside of the province or the country is thinking, oh, that's a place I'd like to go. How would you sort of guide them to that? What do they need to do? How was it for you? Now, I know you came through to study.
Yes.
But if someone is thinking, I want to go where Rufaro is, it looks like it's a great place, what would you tell them?
I would say that there's so much potential in Newfoundland. It's a beautiful province, and where it is a little bit smaller, there's a lot of opportunities that you are able to create for yourself. And I think it's really important that if you're trying to stay here, that you find a good community, because that community can become your family away from your related family. And that's what really makes a difference and what makes this place feel like home.
So how did you find a community for yourself? Because when you came here, you had no relatives. You decided, looked it up, I'm coming, this is where I'm going. You arrived, you're here. How did you build community?
I tried a lot of different things. So when I was in university, I'd go to any social gatherings that they had, especially for international students. I joined like fitness classes. When I moved to St. John's, I joined a martial art, and through that, like, I've made so many friends that are going to be my friends for my entire life. So just get out there, push yourself out of your comfort zone, try something new, and you never know what could happen.
Find a therapist.
Find a therapist.
Chat to a therapist. Now, martial arts, that's new. I didn't know that about you. How did you get into that?
I really decided that, I'm a single woman living alone, and if I had to protect myself, I didn't have the tools to do so. So I started martial arts in order to be able to feel like I could protect myself.
Did you participate in any competitions?
I did, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've participated in 2 jiu-jitsu competitions.
All right, and what was that experience like for you?
It was extremely nerve-wracking. I think my first competition I froze, so that gave me a bit more courage, motivation, determination for the second competition. And it really pushed me out of my comfort zone. I am not an athlete by any means, but it was a great experience. That's why it's important to push yourself out of your comfort zone, because you don't know what you're capable of until you do that.
Because I think that's the difficult part when people come and they're alone, knowing, where to go, who to connect with. I know for some people it's difficult for them to find the kinds of products they need for skin, hair,
Yes.
Was that an issue for you too when you came? Because you were residing in Cornerbrook at the time, or what were the...
Yes, there were 0 products in Cornerbrook when I moved. And before I moved, I used to put relaxer in my hair to straighten it. And then I got here and that's not available. I couldn't find hair extensions anywhere here. I couldn't find someone to do my hair. So I had to learn how to braid my own hair, ordering supplies off of Amazon. So that was a huge, huge shock.
Okay. So I guess some of the people coming out, there are more opportunities and more places for the Black community to get the sort of supplies and resources that they need.
Yes.
So I think we've got more reasons for people to come, and even more so, many more reasons for them to stay.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Farah. It's been a pleasure talking with you. I've learned so much, and I really want to wish you the best in your career. Let me know when you have that in-person space available, and I will put into practice a lot of what you've taught me today. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. And Sharing Our Cultures will be right back. Thanks to Rufaro and to you for watching. Join me again next time and meet more remarkable people from diverse cultural backgrounds who've chosen to call Newfoundland and Labrador their home.
If you want convenience, Marie's Mini Mart is here for you. A one-stop shop for a variety of products, home-style breads, sandwiches, plus check out our freshly baked artisan breads and single-serve desserts exclusively at our in-store bakery on Frecker Drive. With 25 locations, wherever you go, there we are.
At Sharing Our Cultures, our programs, projects, and events focus on engaging school children and youth from diverse cultural backgrounds as they integrate into the society in Newfoundland and Labrador. We connect them with the locals and community partners for opportunities to improve their socio-cultural and employability skills, and most importantly, to make new friends. We invite you to learn more about Sharing Our Cultures on our website, YouTube channel, and social media platforms.
We want to hear from you. Provide feedback on this show or find out how you can get involved. Call, email us, or scan the QR code to take our quick survey.
Everybody knows not to drink and drive, but some people still think it's okay to take drugs and drive. Police have the authority, the ability, and the tools to determine if drivers are impaired by legal or illegal drugs. And because drug-impaired drivers can pose just as great a risk as drunk drivers, they face the same penalties, like the loss of their driver's license, a criminal record, fines, and more. A message from the RCMP, the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, and Arrive Alive Drive.
You're watching an interesting local show on Rogers TV and you want to know more. That's when you head to rogerstv.com. Our website provides more information about our programs,